Welcome, everybody. We are here for another episode of CBSI Vintage Voyage. I am John Z of Tales from the Flipside, and I have with me tonight Ben C in the comic bunker that he is going to reside in until the world is cool again.
And past that.
Well, probably for the rest of his days, but I wasn't going to speak that far out. Joining us for the first time on this show is a new member of the team, Nico, who you may recognize from an excellent interview series he's been doing. If you haven't checked it out, a week and a half ago, he did an awesome one with Steve Barak and talking about CBCS and their new census and a couple other great things there, including Garcia personal collection books and all kinds of fun stuff. So check that out if you've not. This week he interviewed CBSI's own Mike Morello of Cover Tunes and got to dig a little bit into his Star Wars obsession.
And by a little, we mean like 3 hours later.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, they're still on the air.
That was a good time.
I'm under the impression he has some amazing stuff, so he's probably worth checking out just to sightsee.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like Star Wars, but you just like movies, you should watch it just to see the iconography and legitimate props and movie used guns and amazing costumes that this guy has amassed. It was unbelievable. I had to pick up my jaw and pull my tongue back in my mouth when it was over. I mean, it was unreal.
Yes.
Great content too.
Yeah, it was cool. I learned a lot. I basically dropped off the podcast as I generally try to do after the formal interview. And usually I just generally with Steve Barak, for example, I just kind of enjoyed and listened. This time I had my notepad out and I was just writing away.
Attaboy.
One more thing I just want to mention, if you've not checked it out, check out comicbarricade.com, the system designed to support and stabilize your collection. They are inserts that go into the box very thin but very stable that will prevent the books from falling over, bending. So if you are a con vendor and books are always selling and you need to rearrange those boxes, this is that solution for you. If you are a collector and you value your books, this is a good way to keep them safe, as well as if you got to stack those boxes taller than a couple, these will help prevent damage from happening to them. So take care of your collection. Check them out at comicbarricade.com.
Yeah, so I got my hands on one, and it was an elegant solution to what has been a horrific problem, which is how the hell do I sort books without having to fancy and fashion these other size boxes and kind of craziness. Yeah, it works brilliantly for, I guess, somebody like me, whether or not I'm set up at a convention or just sitting at my house. And I thought it was going to be cool, but it was a lot cooler than I ever anticipated. Usually I think things are going to be cool and then I'm tragically disappointed. This was a real sweet surprise. I was excited to get one, and then even more excited when it worked better than I thought.
Topher's a smart guy.
Yeah, he really is.
So
creepy smart.
Last week we talked about Batman and pretty much the entire Batman first, about 5-6 year run. And this week we thought we would go a little broader and focus on DC superhero first appearances. So we went back to the very, very, very beginning here, and we're going to kind of just run through all the appearances that some you don't know, some I didn't know, but these
some I still might not know.
Yeah, hopefully Ben wrote notes on some of these. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into the big boys. And you may think we're going to start at one book, but we're actually going to start slightly earlier than that.
And then to throw both of you off, I'm going to start where we thought we were going to jump in.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Sorry. Give me a technical difficulty. My monitor got unplugged. Give me a second here.
Okay.
Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
All right. So a real quick note. This actually works out well. Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson is the original creator of National Allied Publications. Later became DC Comics. It became something else, and then it became DC. The first comic that company published in 1936 was New Fun Comics #1. Besides being the first DC comic, it's also the first comic book to be completely new content. Random side note to the first content thing, in 1929, Dell had put out a prototype, a proto book, a proto comic. I don't know what the hell that means when I was researching it.
What's a proto?
It's like, I mean, it's definitely all new content, but it's definitely not a comic book, but it's not a pulp. I guess somebody just went with it.
In between everything.
Proto comic. And new fun, new comics becomes new fun, becomes more fun. And then the second comic was New Comics. So this is why the shit gets so confusing. The second comic from DC was called New Comics. And then it went to New Adventure, New Fun Comics, blah, 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 blah. It landed on Adventure with issue 32.
All right. So here's the first one that we were going to show, the first kind of DC superhero-ish character. Not really superhero, but just kind of character.
Such a monster book, too. So when everyone talks about, when you hear Dr. Occult, this is the book that they're talking about, and the relevance to Dr. Occult is it's the same team that did Superman, Siegel and Schuster. Schuster, I don't know how to say the name, sorry.
Well, this is, I didn't say it, my bad. I was too focused on my monitor not working, but this is New Fun Comics number 6 in 1935.
Yeah, and I also bought that book. It's a done deal, which is why I wasn't trying to ignore the podcast or our viewers. But if they knew how much money I spent, they'd be like, it's okay. You can have a 30-second reprieve.
I think the 3 people will be all right. Speaking of,
they were probably all watching that book sell, so we're okay.
That's a good point.
Hey, Nico, welcome. And your man Stan, how you doing, man?
Always good to see
I just love seeing these books.
Yeah, this is one that I would pass by a million times and just ignore. Other than knowing it's really old.
The problem with the early DC stuff is it has that boxed. I mean, there's cartoon strips on the cover. When you get to More Fun in New Adventure, like those are the first 2. It's like early 37 maybe. You switch into those classic big logo with the full beautiful picture underneath. They're all in that same vein of Action Comics when it's not Superman covers. It's almost like that 1800s painting style. And then More Fun goes off the tracks. Dr. Occult is a weird story. Him and his sister were going to be sacrificed to some demon through an occult thing. And Jesus, take better notes, man. It just fucked me up so much. I'm like, a sacrifice to a dead. I forgot early DC comics were like super dark. Batman killed people and like.
Just a quick look. He kind of reminds me a little bit more of like a Constantine type character.
Yeah, and it ties back in way later on because Rose Psychic or something is the sister. She's newer. I mean, her first appearance is More Fun 19 in 1937. But yeah, those 2 are going to be sacrificed to a cult. And instead, the 7 Guardians showed up, or the seven, and then gave them new names and like mystic powers and shit. How that doesn't count as a superhero is beyond me. But
it kind of was more of the magic and it just was pre the man, So
Mandrake was a very popular. Mandrake the Magician was a very popular.
Why are his books so cheap?
But he's not DC.
No, I know. I just mean in that vein, like
same with like
magicians could have been popular back then. The way Tarzan and shit.
Yeah. So All right. So now we'll get to the one everybody cares about, the big boy.
Oh boy.
I found a nice big boy picture to use too.
Isn't that a monster?
Yeah. You know what was cool was talking to Borak about owning copies of books like this.
And I love that it's not singular.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think to myself, like, well, once I read in a newspaper about Nick Cage getting a book like this stole from his house, he's gonna play the Tiger guy.
No, the Tiger King. Heck yeah.
He's a Hollywood celebrity, you know. But to talk to like normal human beings,
This is,
that don't like reside in.
I don't know which copy this happens to be. I didn't look close. I think this is the other copy, but the other 9.0 is his, or was
No,
it?
check the page color.
This is the white. This is the other one.
Yes,
Wow.
that's the better one. That's the 3.5.
Because his was the 9.0 off-white.
Yes.
This is the one that was found in a cedar chest somewhere.
Yeah. On the topic, do you guys remember or did you hear about the action? This is a few years ago, but it was probably G Plus era. The action one that the guy found in the wall of like the house.
Yeah.
He was taking down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the end of it? Like his aunt or some shit was holding it and like wouldn't give it back and tore the back cover.
Yeah, it went from like
So it went from like a
3 to
3
like
something to a hard 2.
Oh,
It was like, oh man. I mean, it's tough to complain, but seriously, like,
Don't be an idiot.
what a dick. Yeah, like, way to be a dick, huh?
can you
Listen,
imagine?
I get even a remotely nice comic, I'm sweating until I get it into a bag and a board or something.
You're not
Well,
passing.
I'll give you a good example. I was angry earlier that I'd purchased like some random auteur signed nonsense when they announced the movie or something, and then because I don't ever open these packages that I get because I'm basically a disaster. I'm sitting here and like realizing like, oh look, I have all these packages to open up. I can show these on pickups on Tales from the Flipside, even though I bought them forever ago. But I guess technically I just opened them. Yeah, they're new to me. Well, anyway, I had these ones I had opened but not done anything with, and they basically were like saran wrapped. You know what I mean? Like unbagged, unboarded, and I'd crunched the corners of them. I was angry about that.
I mean, I got those books from Brazil last week, and like, yeah, they were in. We'll loosely call them bags, but I'm like pulling them out. I had some of Robert's ones that he spent, $500-600 on, and I'm like sweating to get them into the Mylar without doing something bad to them. And this poor guy rips an Action 1, man. Oh God,
It's not even him. It's his aunt. What the fuck? Or like his aunt-in-law. I bet it was an in-law.
but I mean, this is the nicest known copy now, at least seen.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything, there's no rumors or debates or myths out there about a nicer copy.
What's the church copy?
An 8.5.
Okay.
Right?
I think I almost used that one on accident, but I found this one, so.
Well, but I mean,
I
think about
don't-
that, right?
I think you're right on it.
First copy is like third on the list. Holy cow! Talk about some pristine books.
Yes.
And I think it's really interesting how popular Superman was immediately, right? That he basically, as a character, just kind of like launched comics. I mean, they didn't put him on the cover; people demanded him to be on the cover. It was like a groundswell. That's always been super neat for me.
Well, they did it right. That's a heck of a cover. It catches the eye. It like if you're a kid seeing that on the newsstand, you're like, I need to know what that is.
Have you seen I did an article about it years ago. The not prototype. What's it called? The ash can.
Oh yeah,
fucking. It's just a black and white thing with like this dude in a hood like licking a knife or some shit.
yeah.
Wow.
I argue that if that was the cover, it would have been cooler. Like,
Maybe.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I'll take that
It
position.
may not have the value of it though.
That's true too.
All right. So moving on to a slightly less known book again, but definitely interesting, is Tech 20. This one is we didn't even talk about Zatara in Action 1. Just
I was going to say Zatara is Zatanna's father. That's the tie-in,
okay.
right? And another magician.
It looks a lot like Mandrake.
Yep.
All right. So this one here is the first Crimson Avenger. Tell me a little bit about him.
The little I'm going to tell you is he's the first mass superhero, and that's about the end of that information.
He doesn't really appear much after that, huh?
There's a short stint, but this early, like when you're talking the pre-Batman stuff, like again, like the Occult and what the hell's the other one's name? Rose.
Yeah.
All that stuff's just so obscure. It's up there with like Fu Manchu and Tech One. Like,
yeah, Superman.
you know what I mean? Like, it's out there, but by the time like Batman debuted, these characters were gone.
All right, it's interesting. I talked to a couple guys about some of these early texts because they've been popping up online now that the COVID quarantine comic economy has sort of emerged, and they both were like, I don't understand why anybody would want these old detective comics, and they're relatively smart guys about comics, and I just looked at them like, they're beautiful, and they're just historically significant in a way that few things are, and I was just kind of shocked by their take on that. I mean, I love this cover. My God.
Yeah, I was gonna say for it not being a superhero, it doesn't have anything crazy going on, but it's a good composition. A lot of primary colors, the dark, the cop. I mean, it is a good, well composed cover.
Everything about it's just that late 30s. You know, like that's what you want.
Yeah,
that's what you go for. Is that you know? I mean, I have some early books. I have books earlier than this, actually. What is it, October 38? Like, I have that Ace 11 that's earlier than this. Yeah, but you look at that and you're like, yeah, who gives a shit? Like, maybe it's old, but it's too, like, cartoony, where this is old and indicative of the late 30s.
Well, and I know it's not a comic, but that's why I really like that Buck Rogers Kellogg's giveaway, because it is comic form with a story and pictures inside, but not strip. But that thing's gorgeous for what it is. It's not just pictures of comic strips on the front like a lot of stuff kind of was back then.
I was just going to say, too, and he's in the chat. What up, Chris? Chris just picked up a copy of that Buck Rogers as well.
Yeah. It's kind of neat. I've seen a few with mine had a letter with it. I saw one the other day with an envelope, too, like how they got shipped out. So it was a little rich for my blood on that book, but it was very, very cool. All right, one more kind of, I guess, more on the obscure side of the hero realm, but a more popular title for some of these is All-Star 1 with Guardian Angel. What do we know about him? I know nothing.
Well, I'm right. So it's really hip hop anonymous. Hop Harrigan. He was the one. It's the backup story and like the crossover and like, or not the crossover, the backup in Green Lantern, but not Green Lantern, All American. Like later on, I knew the name, but then when I looked up it's 200 and something comic appearances, it was. So yeah, but there's nothing special. It was just a World War II pilot.
So he wasn't like a true superhero. He was more like an adventurer hero.
Nope. So why did I put it on the list? Because I figured it out afterwards.
Hey, that's okay. You know what? Somebody's going to be like, hey, I need that for that reason. Why not?
That's a tough book. The All-Americans, not All-Americans easy, but All-Americans or at least a year later. All-Stars are really tough. I mean, 1's impossible. 2, I've never seen a 2. 3 is JSA. 4, anyway.
I mean, I was pulling images for this, and I'm like, I don't even know what All-Star 1 looks like if you asked. It just isn't.
Me neither.
I never see it.
It's underwhelming.
Right, so we're obviously going to go next to the big boy book number 2. Maybe Ben will argue big boy book number 1. 1A, 1B. Tech 27. I could not find a good picture of the highest graded, so I had to live with the 6. That is currently on sale for just shy of $1 million on eBay if you're interested.
Okay.
On
eBay.
So
we got that.
So, Chris, Stan, Nick, and you guys watching, it's up there. Now's the time to make your move.
Mother's Day special.
Yeah. It's still a real nice copy for this book because I don't think there's very many above it. Still, it is a tough book. So, I don't know. We talked very, very in-depthly about this one last week, but, I sure wouldn't let it go if I happen to come across one.
Yeah, a local shop owner in my area has one.
No way.
Yeah. Todd McDivitt, New Dimension Comics, got one.
Is he selling or just putting it in his bank?
I mean, I don't think it's like on he's never showed it to me. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah, but you're riffraff.
You also got to say, when you say my local shop, you got to open it with "is my local shop is New Dimension," not like
it's not the shop around the corner.
Right. That's like when I reference.
It's not Bob's Comics. It's not like Bob's House of Comics and used VHS tapes.
Right.
Right.
We wish. Get them Muppets.
I don't know. Like I said, we talked endlessly about this one last week, so we can go ahead unless somebody in the chat wants to add anything really exciting to it. But,
what up, Peter?
All right, next one. Another kind of I won't quite say second. It's probably not even quite second tier, but borderline there.
This is
I love
this
it.
This is top shelf.
Yeah, but it's not the book, but the character.
For Golden Age, like founding member of the JSA.
Who
predates him, man? You got Batman and Superman.
I'm with Ben on this one. He's the big dog who I could theoretically someday hustle my way into maybe getting. You know what I mean? He's the guy who there's still hope for a guy like me. Like I might not be able to have it. I might have to drive a Pinto, but I could pick up an Adventure 40.
I'm not saying he's that character. I'm just saying he's not in that kind of first or second tier in my mind. He's early.
He's absolutely this book, as far as Golden Age books go, this is in the top. It's tough when we get into the top, but this is a top tier book.
I don't argue because it's a beautiful cover. It's a beautiful.
Maybe it's tier 2 in the sense that Nico and I might be able to chase it. He'll get it and I'll cry, pretend that I got it. But
I'd have to. Again, I might have to sell a car. Like an organ. But there's a couple copies on eBay. I have a particular soft spot for this book, right? Like it's one that I'm like, oh, Adventure 40. It comes. Look, there's a new copy up. Like, let me look and stare at what I can't afford.
Chris is killing me with that one. That's a go.
He was ahead of the curve.
Take it back. He's full second tier. Full second tier now.
That book, it's still a step above Hourman, though. I don't know, man. That's a pretty badass. His equipment is a gas gun and a gas mask. That's not a superhero, dude. That's called anarchy vigilante.
He's probably more of a prototype Rorschach.
And just fucking coming in people's windows, gassing them and shit.
Yeah. And help me, guys. What's the other Golden Age book that has the look-alike character?
Oh,
where it's a crime book, but he's just wearing the weird gas mask and he's crawling through the lady's window.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I actually do know what you're talking about. I'll never get the title.
Yeah, because that might be as close as I ever get to this Adventure Comics 40. They'll be like, look, it's not a homage.
No, I know that. That's a good cover, though.
That is a great cover.
It is. Now that I said that, I'm going to end up having to settle on Hourman.
You're right. You're right here. I failed because now we're heading to the quaternary character. I don't even know where this guy fits on the list, but All-American 8. Sorry, I should have written it down on the side.
It's All-American 8.
Ultraman.
Dude, Gary Concord. You will know his name.
What's story on Ultraman? Is he a kind of a Superman, just not prototype, but post-type?
Connecticut governor. There was a sex scandal.
Well, that's not him, though.
Wait, Gary Condit. I'm sorry, I screwed up. I'm sorry.
So is this guy just a strongman type guy?
I get super confused. It's a small run, and when you look it up, there's like 7 different Ultramans. And somehow he's just the bitch of the run, so
Well, yeah,
We're
and
lucky we get a picture.
Ultraman kind of, I think, more of like the anime later 80s, 90s, or 60s. I don't know where the hell that one is, but you know what I mean? That's the Ultraman I think of. Was a great name that they wasted on this character.
It's a ridiculously weak phone-in job from DC. If this was another company, at least I could understand.
Yeah, this
They're
doesn't
like,
even look like their
Super.
comic. I mean, it looks like, you know, one of the copycats. I mean, it's not
It
good.
does. It's a good point.
It isn't
Bob's
good.
VHS House of Books comics, right?
Well, like even the art and the logo, it's a you're right, it is a weak ass attempt. I have so many things I need to think and not say because it is amusing me in my head, but I will move away from it until a later date. Such a weak ass attempt.
There's an inappropriateness to the cover too
that too.
It's mildly unsettling.
All right, so
Nick L. Down with Crime. Absolutely, man. It's Down with Crime 1.
Nice.
Oh,
There we
that
go.
Sandman book. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, so next one we're going back to some more, ones that are a little more household name.
If you call this a borderline tier 1, tier 2 book, freaking a household name. It's the first appearance of Flash and Hawkman. Breathe deep. Johnny Thunder as well. Johnny Thunder, for the record, could carry a title on his own because the dude was in charge of like a fucking spirit dragon or some shit.
Yeah, so now, I don't.
I think my job tonight is
of
just
this
to get Ben stressed out on what I'm going to say.
Hey, I don't trace. I don't track the price of this book, but you know, when I look back, there's a lot of people that will say things like, you know, movies don't affect the price of Golden Age books, and I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. But you know, because I saw what happened with like those early appearances of Wonder Woman, the Trinity books, right? Like they just went bananas. And I wonder if after we see one Hawkman show up in that Black Adam movie, and then God willing, they do a Flash film that's worthy of the character, that has kind of like the charm of those early seasons of CW with like legit writing and you know, modern special effects done right. If we'll see just a ton of eyes on this book.
I think there's too much of a disconnect between this character and, you know, the Silver Age Flash. Flash. That is such a unique twist on the character. That one gets all the heat.
Words out of my mouth, right? Barry Allen is like the Flash that everybody knows. You know, but I don't know. It's just, that's kind of like, those are sorts of like the questions that are interesting for me, but fortunately I don't have enough money to necessarily, you know, blow what do you think, $50,000 for an entry-level beater copy of this? I didn't look at the...
You could get a 1.0 for like 30, 35.
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
Like,
to me, I like this book, and I know it's never on my list. The one, if I were going to get an early Flash book I like, is the Flash Quarterly 1. It's a great cover that is at a fairly reasonable price point for what it is. I know it's not anywhere near his first, but it's kind of a cool
that book.
Nice.
It's one that I've always, if I see it, I'm like, man, I could swing that, and it's pretty cool. It looks cool. It's got a good design. It also kind of very throwback to this, just in the pose and all that. But
it doesn't cost as much as a new car.
No.
Okay. So there's that. Got that going for you.
Yeah. Unless you get a really nice copy. So,
true.
Real quick on Flash. We all know, or by we all know, I assume everyone watches CW like my goofy ass. But the Silver Age origin of the Flash is far different than the Golden Age, which is he was doing some hard water residual tests and then like smoked a butt in his lab and then like fell over, passed out from gases, and woke up and like saw some girl he liked, ran out the door after her, and realized he was the fastest man alive. That's how you do that shit.
It's a beautiful story. It really is. The way you tell it, Ben. You know?
Jason Tail, and I'm a superhero.
Not just smoking a butt and passing out, man.
Yeah, I like the way that Ben tells that story. I really do.
Hey, I like to bring the light to the book, you know?
That's almost as amusing as the Black Terror and his what's it called? It's basically like some kind of vitamins. It's not the word. There's another word to use. You made vitamins.
Yeah, from back in the day where they fucking used
Right, like
fucking,
exactly. Like there's a little mercury in it, and then we put amphetamine and heroin, and then something from a cocoa plant. I don't know, but it'll be fine. Just take it.
But you will feel like a
children enjoy
superhero.
it. Children love it. We mixed it with cola. It's unbelievable.
I mean, you take that combo, you'll feel like a superhero, I guess, man. You will be going.
Until the mercury kills you dead.
Just to bind it all together. Good stuff.
There's some incredible ads in these old books, too. Like oh man, I'm running out of power, and they just fucking chain smoke a butt, and he's like, back up, baby. You're like, yeah. To be fair, I used to feel like that. I smoked forever, man.
Oh, man.
Struggle as it is, dude. I've taken more prescriptions of Chantix than I care to publicly admit, and I need to get one filled. I mean, it's just...
Quarantine life.
Chantix fucked me. For all the stuff I've done in my life, Chantix was like a Rick James fucking cocaine is a hell of a drug situation, man. Chantix was a hell of a drug. Like, I quit smoking.
From my medical expertise, it's known for giving vivid dreams.
Yeah, it does that. It does a little bit more than that. It kind of I lose impulse control. Like, I'll just say some shit, and then I'll be like, "Wow, what happened to your inner monologue there, tough guy? Why would you say that to another person?"
For our viewers, Nico's been on Chantix for the past few weeks.
I mean, to be fair, I've met you not on Chantix. I'm worried on what you would be like with it.
I was like, what do you mean unfiltered?
Your inner monologue is weak as is.
Really is.
All right, to keep the handful of viewers actually engaged.
Okay. This is now not the time to talk about my theories about a murder that was committed on a different podcast.
No, not right.
All right. We'll talk about that later. Privately.
All right. This is a big boy book.
This is one of my favorite comics, period.
Have you ever seen one? Like
I have
real,
seen
like
one.
Nice.
I have seen one in person, Boston.
Wow.
So Fun Comics 52, but I've never seen this one. More Fun.
Neither have I.
Never seen it.
Yeah, neither have I.
Even I've never seen it.
Ghost of a books. I had the opportunity to buy the 51. And again, that was part of the whole all-star thing. Like, I'm still walking like a bulldog from them fucking me.
Why is this one so hard to find?
I honestly can't tell. I mean, so the thing with Golden Age books in general is they all had these huge print runs. Like Action Comics, by the time it was done, had over 1 million, I think, or some ludicrous number. It was the paper drives. It was the paper drives, and then Seduction of the Innocent, and the other one there, P.O.P. Whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
But this book, for whatever reason, it's kind of like the Hulk of
Just
Golden
didn't make
Age DC. I mean, Nico knows you can't find a Hulk one. I mean, you can, but for every one you find, you'll find 10 AF-15s.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And this one, again, like I'd just like to see one. I'll probably never get to ever make a play on one ever, but it would be nice to just know that they exist. And, you know, when you talk to like the guys who I consider the best minds in comics, if they, you know, they all uniformly agree, oh yeah, that's on my super short list of dream books that I'd love to have.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I look for a lot of these keys on the walls just to at least see them. Say I saw one, see one in person. You know, I see pictures online. This one is not. I don't know. Just
you don't even see pictures online.
No, I had to. This is from the DC page. There weren't like slabs.
That explains it.
A lot of them are on the DC page because I
check GPA, you check Comic Link board like result. Like, I don't know, man. A couple copies a year.
Yeah, it's a beast.
I will say I am wildly jaded towards this because I have several of these Bailey covers. Obviously, I'm never going to own the 52 unless I find it. You know, like, I don't mean if I find it to buy. I mean, like, if I find it, like, buried in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the most gorgeous cover of any run, but it's a nice cover.
It's not. Every other book and every other cover in the run just dominates this. But this book has become so iconic that this ridiculous little drawing with the fucking a couple of lights on in the background windows, like, oh man, that book makes people smile. And seriously, for those who aren't familiar with the more fun run of Spectre, go look, check it out. There's
the other one by far superior. I don't know if we hit a few in this discussion, but only on accident. Here's the one we talked about earlier that Ben's going to have to lower his standards to.
Did you already make the wrecking ball Miley Cyrus jokes? Because if not, I'd like to start now.
We have not. You're welcome to have first dibs.
Like a wrecking ball. Wrecking ball.
At least we have our clip for the show now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Hourman is not, not the coolest character, not the coolest design, at least here. I do remember seeing him on Legends of Tomorrow. They did a decent job of redesigning him. But
so, the original Hourman discovered a drug by accident. It was a miracle drug that gave him superhuman strength, speed, and durability, but it only lasted for 60 minutes. That's the worst superhero power ever. Like, my weed lasts longer than that, man.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, at least he has a nice costume with a short cape for his short-lived powers. On a wrecking ball.
That said, if I had a chance to buy that book, I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Amen.
It's right. It's a classic. I
think we lost Z.
He doesn't realize he's muted.
You muted yourself.
I mute myself.
Yeah.
Well, what did I say last?
Nothing. You said nothing.
I was gonna say I wouldn't throw any of these guys out of bed except maybe Ultraman, and then I thought about it. I thought I'd probably keep Ultraman because I have so low self-esteem. I would keep that too.
I've seen the OA pages you buy. You're keeping Ultraman.
Hey, absolutely. He'll hang it next to Prime Zero Gold.
You know what I have now that I'm love, but I'm embarrassed. There is a Tick children's book. It was from the Fox animation. I now have 24 of 28 pages.
That's cool, though, isn't it? Like, especially because you're chasing a complete. Yeah, I'm just trying to put a positive spin on my.
I know. Well, I was talking to my brother about it. I'm like, I'm only paying a few bucks. It's like $50 a page. And he's like, we have 24 of them. Do the math. Oh shit.
You could have owned fucking Ultraman.
I could have owned Ultraman.
Oh man!
And now I'll never find those 2 pages either. So then I'm really screwed.
I think Nico was offended by you owning.
He froze up. I see him.
Oh, I know. Of course.
All right, we're gonna go to Ben's other least favorite book. Yeah, he feels that comics were ruined based on this character. I picked a restored label one for you so you'd feel okay about it.
Here's the story too. This was part of one of the offerings in that dude's collection. A different dealer bought part of that collection. He ended up with a Tech 38. Offered it to me at a show for $5,000. It was raw. I was on the fence. Thought it might be restored. This is 2012. $5,000 was a fucking mid or a decent blue chip silver book at that point. I wasn't paying for Robin. Person who bought it came back, purple. FPC.
FPC. we were talking about Hourman and Nico. Anybody that's watched enough programming with him, he'd be happy to be Hourman with his internet lately. Make it happen. So his powers are weak. Listen, this is a book on my personal list, but it's only because if the right low grade restored copy popped up, I might be able to get it.
It's one of the best keys in comics. I just don't like it.
I understand, and I listen. I like Nightwing, so I gotta like Robin, and it's a whole Teen Titans tie-in and all that. So a lot of stuff tied into this book that, while I agree, is not the coolest Robin in many times, but he was the first. This cover is not not great. Not great.
It's really not. I mean,
no. It's
everything
rough.
about it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like 7 issues earlier, there's the castle. 3 issues earlier, this hypodermic needle cover.
Yeah, and here we have Robin busting through a hula hoop.
They're like, I did it. My superpower is I can break through a fucking drum.
In the shortest green short of all time.
Who likes short shorts?
Oh, God. All right, so we're going to move from one of the weaker Batman keys to, as we discussed last time, probably the second strongest or third, depending on our arguments. Batman 1. Just to recap why we said that, obviously Tech 27's the monster in the room. Tech 31 is a monster, and then you have this guy with the first Joker that Tech 31 is. We kind of discussed. I don't know if it's possible to be undervalued, but potentially could jump a lot as the Joker just kind of becomes almost more popular than Batman.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but he's if Batman's a 10 unpopular, Joker's like 9.8. So
that's a PGX 11.
Yeah. Nico, you back? No.
So remember when we theorized that there was something wrong with my Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
I think we now know that it is, in fact, where I reside. The internet is just not provided to people in the agrarian regions of West Virginia. And maybe that's why we don't have... Maybe all of the crazy people with their 5G COVID conspiracy theories were correct. Internet doesn't work. Maybe I'll be saved from my COVID exposure. Who knows?
We heard about the smoking thing, the nicotine study that came out yesterday, right?
No.
Oh, what's it say? I'm particularly going to die? Or am I better?
it's like I used to joke all the time. I smoke like fucking 4 packs a day. That's so many cigarettes. Okay. Jesus Christ. I used to joke like the amount of shit I put into my body, nothing can get me sick. So like because like it's suggested that it's a weaker strain. I mean, it's a weaker virus. The havoc and chaos that smoking creates as an environment in your lungs is suggesting that COVID like can't go in and infect it because the smoke's coming in and being like, fuck that. That and certain strains of cannabis are getting tested right now.
Wow.
I'm covering my bases and just trying it all to make sure.
It's just the little subtle drip of poison.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating? And please, people,
it's a straight.
I'm gonna get us back to comics.
Strange world.
And I'm gonna throw a question in the chat because there's some people watching that aren't chiming in because we've got some guys chiming in, some guys just hanging out. If you had a choice, what are you getting? Tech 31, the most iconic cover in the run, probably, or at least the most of the run, or Batman 1? Let us know. I just like to see what people think. Which of the two would you pick?
I don't know if I could answer without thinking. I'm interested to see what other people think.
Yeah, throw us a comment, guys. We'd love to know. Because I could go. I lean a.
Exactly.
man, I'm so close on those. They're both just dream books, and I don't know. I couldn't. I don't know. I truthfully don't.
Dream.
I was gonna 100% say Batman 1, and then I thought about the cover, and I went, "Oh, I don't know at all."
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing, isn't it?
just let us know what you guys would do, because I don't know. I'm real freaking torn.
Get a pair of Batman ones right off the bat.
So here we go. We're gonna go
those
back.
guys are probably the smart investors, right? Where
I don't know.
the sick maniac, me, I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. Another Spectre cover where he has finally kind of got his green donned uniform, which is much better than the blue. But that is not why we're highlighting this one. This is the first Dr. Fate, which is sad that he doesn't really make the cover. And everybody's frozen.
No, I'm not frozen.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah, I was just looking at that book. It's just
Taking
gorgeous,
it in.
man.
I really appreciate Spectre covers. There's like 3 Dr. Fates in DC. Like there has been 3 Dr. Fates. Obviously, this is the first. He was on an archaeological dig with his dad. They undug a temple or unearthed the temple, and instead of leaving well the fuck enough alone, went in and like did shit, and then the room fills with gas, kills the dad. The kid gets out fine, then he's given the powers of the mystic arts, and he's the first Sorcerer Supreme. Before Doctor Strange was Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Fate was.
Dr. Fate has a badass helmet, I'm not going to lie.
So.
Well, and for people who I think are our age, he was the guy, right? Like he was in those early DC cartoons that we all watched and enjoyed and loved. He had that great costume. When I was a kid, man, I was Dr. Fate all day. And, I hope they are able to do something with his character. I know that recent DC run wasn't well received by a lot of people. I have it, but haven't read it. And, there were those like rumors, or whether they were substantiated or unsubstantiated, I don't really know, about the character maybe getting some sort of like media treatment. But I would just love to see a good writer, a good artist pick up that book today and do something great with it, or him get some big screen treatment or HBO Max treatment. I think it'd be great for a character that we all grew up really enjoying.
I tell you what has done Dr. Fate well was the Young Justice show. They did a great dickhead Dr. Fate. Like, I don't care about the human wearing me. I am just here to, kick ass and chew bubblegum. I'm not a bubblegum, basically.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, you should. That whole series is amazing, but that was a good take on the character, in my opinion. He was just omnipotent, and just, I'm going to solve the problem. I don't care whether you want to do it or not. So,
nice.
I don't even know how this one made the list, so I'm going to make Ben talk about it. But
this is confusing. Yeah, it'll all tie together. Okay.
Probably because Dr. Fate made the cover, he decided it needed to be on there. But
speaking of Nick L and his, I've been waiting for the first Dr. Fate cover. I assume this is it because it's the second.
Well, I did a double take because I'm like, wait, he meant 55, right? Yeah.
But it's also Congo Bill. So Congo Bill is, I don't even understand at this point, a dude that basically was like Tarzan, but instead of like being part of the jungle, he dressed like, I don't know, a safari guide or some shit. And then like Congorilla is the evolution of Congo Bill. Like at some point, that's the tie-in.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a really strange path. So Lil Wookie, how you doing?
It's an interesting pose for Dr. Fate here too. It almost looks he's showing off his muscle. I know he's got his cape there, but man, it is a interesting first superhero pose.
He's got arms like me. He can't really take anybody to the gun show.
The gun show left town before he got there.
Speaking of the fucking gun show.
Nice.
Nice. I
The
didn't
fuck
even
out
know.
of here.
Yeah.
Snoop's
Peeping
made
on
it.
me. I got the gun show shirt on.
All
yeah,
right.
what a great cover, though.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one. The more fun covers at this part of the run are amazing. They've got the nice bold letters. They've got a lot going on. I really like just even the stripes at the top. It is like a branding that you just you don't even need to know what it says. It's branded. So, all right. So now we're going to the other kind of premier superhero from this age that isn't really the same character, with All-Star Comic or All-American Comic 16 and the Green Lantern. You know, arguably even a heavier reinvention than even the Flash.
So, yeah, Jesus. Before we hit this, I want to put it in perspective. Superman, we know, is 1938. If you fast forward through everything to bring us to All-American, that's July 1940. That's how much came out from DC in that short a period of time.
We should have been talking about the dates, but yeah, I mean, it was so much. So much happened right there. I didn't put them on the slides.
Are Sandman, Wesley Dodds is 1979, July 39, so a year before Green Lantern. And he's basically the second because Cop Harrigan and Crimson Avenger don't count. So, and then Batman's 39, Flash is 40.
Yeah, a lot jammed in there.
Flash is January 40, I think, and then More Fun is February of 1940. Sorry, and we'll get back on track.
I tell you what, this is a book that I don't know. I've always had a fascination with Green Lantern. I don't know that I would say I'm the biggest Green Lantern fan, but the character idea has always just fascinated the shit out of me. And this is a book I would love. I know it is out of my price range. It is just, if you give me one of these ones that are slightly above what I can dream, this would be probably my one.
Yeah, it's like with this book and the first appearance of the Spectre, I think if I've got to pick like the Twin Towers of, well, I don't see those every day, don't see those every year, never seen one in person, can't imagine an opportunity to get my hands on one. This is the one, super scarce and rare to boot.
So the first show I ever went to back in 2012, Greg White, popular dealer on the circuit. G-Dubs.
I probably dropped his copy if he had one.
Oh my God. So the first book I bought back in was a Spider-Man 1 from him.
Wow.
It was a great way to get back into comics. I bought a Spidey 1, was all happy. Boston was great. Second year I walked in, he had a raw copy of that on his wall. And I'm like...
The only dealer in the country that would have a raw copy. You're like, what?
Just hanging out. And I knew enough at this point, but I wasn't educated. I'm like, how much is that? He's like, oh, it's a big book. It's 22,000. It's like a 2.5,
Wow.
Man, what a bargain that would have been. Right?
What do we think a 2.5 would sell for now? More than 60, 50?
I have to feel like you're getting 50 because I completely agree. You're spot on with this book's not out there. It's this and More Fun and More Fun 73. I will add to that list. That's
okay.
The trifecta.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
just impossible.
And I don't know. I just had a fascination with this character, and there are so little that matches this character and the Silver Age character, other than the idea of the ring.
And the idea of the ring, the lantern itself came from the creator. I know it's a Moldoff cover, but I don't know if he's credited with creating.
Yeah, well, lanterns were a thing back then, right? Like
yes.
we forget people actually used lanterns.
So he was at he was watching the stop lights because lower end stoplights back in the day literally would be like different lantern or different light behind the thing. And that's where he came up with the idea to make a
That's
superhero.
awesome.
Yeah, but what
A
it turned
2.0
into.
griddle sold for 32.
Oh.
So what this turned into, though, is amazing because I mean it is one of the biggest kind of properties in DC now. I mean it's just expansive and it turned into its own universe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, Green Lantern could stand upon its own with minimal interaction with the rest of DC because they've built such a vast thing.
I think that's HBO's plan, right? Like the Time Warner plan. They're like, we're gonna do Green Lantern, and we're all like, well, what Green Lantern are you gonna do? And they keep just being like, we're gonna do Green Lantern, like.
Probably all of them.
Probably all of them. We're not sure yet. and then like their publishing arms, like, and there's not enough. We'll throw out a couple extra kids comic, some story about a detective Green Lantern.
Just make another one.
Yeah, just keep throwing them out there.
Edge of the Lantern verse.
Right, like, it's neat.
All right, so one more in this run, and this one I don't know if I've ever seen either, is the number 19 with the first Atom.
Hell no, I've never seen that cover, except for in a Gerber Almanac, I think.
And I honestly think this is one that if you asked me what the first Atom to identify the cover, I would have had a very hard time doing it. It's not in my subconscious brain from my youth.
I mean, to be clear, too, it's a different Atom. Like, DC is 1940. This came out in October of 1940. Atom is actually like a little runty, like the way Captain America was like a little, and he got picked on and all that shit.
My size.
Correct, exactly. He went to a boxing trainer and got trained in boxing, and then went and just like kicked the shit out of criminals. Like,
so he's more like Puck.
He's more like, yeah. I don't know. I got nothing to compare it to, man. Yeah.
I don't know. Throwing it out there.
That's a great cover. Gosh,
it is nice.
That simplicity of, yeah.
It's not PC to push somebody off of the side of a building these days either.
Yeah, but he's carrying a saber. It's fine.
Like right off the edge. Like, whoops.
All right, so we're going back to
the death.
I'm just making sure I'm going in order because I get a little confused here.
You got to go to JSA next.
Yeah. I think I put him in. Wait, no, JSA? Shit. I don't think I got this. I don't think I got
Winter 1940. It's
I didn't get there you go. I had him out of order.
Wow.
Every time I see this cover, I envision a turkey on it. Because of that stupid Thanksgiving cover.
Yeah.
Jesus. Nico, what do you like about this book?
Oh, hell.
Besides it being the first JSA.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the first superhero team in comics. I mean, these are kind of like the founding fathers, of a medium that has just kind of informed my childhood about virtue and principle, and it literally is arguably the most iconic assembly of heroes, period. I'm pretty excited about Time Warner trying to take a stab at one of these characters on the big screen. I never thought I'd live long enough to see something like that. So it's near and dear to my heart for some corny reasons, but ones that are really heartfelt.
This is one of those, we were talking earlier, and Nico suggested, he said, you got to get some good posters. This is one of the posters I have on my wall.
Well,
a book I'll never own, so. But I'm with you, man. It's iconic.
Where's Hangman first show up?
That's Archie. That's
How does he get over here?
Hangman?
Wait, who's the guy in the corner? That's not Hangman?
Which corner? Well, okay.
The little guy with the blue mask. Am I mistaken?
Adam.
Oh, that's Adam.
Adam, Sandman, Spectre, Flash, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Green Lantern, Hourman.
Oh, I'm getting confused also with Watchmen and.
Well, to be fair, Adam, that's a dude who just boxes people, and nobody knows who that dude is. Dr. Fate and Sandman are somewhat, you know him. Hourman's kind of out there, and then the rest is just,
Yeah, the founding fathers.
Exactly. And Adam.
So Adam gets replaced at some point by Wildcat in his boxing skills, or what?
What'd you say?
At some point, does Adam just get replaced by Wildcat?
Yeah, well, there is that 1986 or 87 miniseries, right? I will say in I can't name the date, 1960, whatever, Nickel fucking correct me, Showcase 34 with the Adam that we know. I honestly thought that was going to be the golden age was going to be in some way the same, but no, man, no.
I feel like an idiot thinking Hangman, but you're right. I don't think I could picture the golden age Adam until you told me that.
I definitely
nobody can, man. It's like Catwoman. She's not in a costume until Batman 3.
Yeah,
I defy anyone to tell me what she looks like in issue 1 or 2. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. I can't tell you. I'm not,
So moving on, another one that I would really love to dream about.
Oh wow,
Starman.
See, that's a fun book, man. What a great cover too.
And it's affordable.
Yeah.
You can swing this.
It's a good book. Adventure 61. What year are we at now, Ben?
41.
Still in 41. That's freaking amazing how much has come out in basically 3 years, 4 years.
It's crazy. So April 41, and then you can remember that because April 40 is Batman. And Tech 38.
If we compared this to the Marvel birth, they're kicking out both at such a pace.
Yeah.
It's insane. And this Starman honestly is probably the least recognizable of the Starman because DC has done some amazing things with the lineage, so to speak. The what is it, 80s, late 80s, 90s series
was that your favorite? Is that one of your guys' favorite runs of comics ever?
I'm trying to reread them because I picked up a run and I picked up the trades at some point in a buy and I got through the first 2 books again. I'm like, man, I really loved it. And then I found some more. So it's one I'm working to re-put together and I'm going to read it again because it is great. And that leads to the Star Girl who's got a show coming out. It is from a character that you just don't see. They did so much to just expand it and rebrand it and redo it, and it's fantastic.
I'm going to answer Solo Wookiee real quick.
Go ahead.
I appreciate, I'm not a fan of I like big logo detectives. I really do. And I like big logo DCs. It shouldn't make sense. It takes up, Jesus, that's what, a third of the cover?
Absolutely.
But for whatever reason, the juxtaposition against the cleanness of especially Adventure and More Fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. And it's just a real clean cover. It screams 1940. I even like the price. Circle on it.
The moon cover.
Yeah, I like how they overlap the trade dress with the artwork. That's something we don't see a lot of. But when you do it, it's like boom.
His costume is weak, but it is just absorbed into the cover, and you don't care.
And you shouldn't be excited over some dude flying with a candle. But you are, because it's done so. I mean, as a kid, I'd buy that comic in a heartbeat. I got to know what's going on.
Yeah, it's that 90s Starman run that makes this book special for me. Because that run was just so meaningful to me when I read it, about the same time as I was reading Sandman. And it's about a like the antique shop kind of apprenticeship vibe. I mean, it was just it was perfect for me. So it's near and dear to my heart. It's a book that I don't have. I shouldn't be sitting here like, oh, it's affordable. Everybody else should go run the price up before I get a copy for myself.
No, this is one you could strive for.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, low grade copies of this sell cheap.
Like, define cheap.
I mean, I'd have to look back at. I want to sell like a couple grand.
I was gonna say I feel like you could get a copy for a couple grand.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be EG, but you're gonna.
Right.
I think I've looked at auctions and not quite been liquid, but thought about it.
Right. Well, me too. Same deal. But it's like well presenting entry level copies, and I'm like, oh, wow, that went way cheaper than I thought. I do it all the time. Hell, I just did it. Right. I'm like, I'm not going to participate in this auction, and then I'm like, I should have participated in that auction, and then go back and buy it. But
yeah,
I've done worse.
3Ls to 3K. Nick,
I
gotta give more than a shout out to Nick. I talked to Nick about Golden Age DC, especially a lot. Nick is, I mean, Jesus, dude's on top of the market, and I appreciate having somebody on top of the market.
He's younger than all of us.
Oh yeah, no, Solo Wookie. I'm happy to. I go on tangents, brother. So any questions? Yeah, Nick is younger than all of us, but good head though too, man. Because I'm like, hey, look, I bought 7 different books that are just going to amount to a fucking dumpster fire 6 months from now. And he's like,
you want to see the packages I just opened?
Me too. DC, this book from 1940. It's a fucking Flash, low number. It's a 4.0 and this and that. And I'm like, that was intelligent. I'm gonna put the fire out now.
He's a smart guy. I like Nick. Nick was back with us in the Google Plus days in the first. I mean, he was way before me.
Exactly. So I just wanted
your guys' chat's smart.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out, Nick.
I met Nick once, man. He was a good dude. And then
everyone in the chat, we appreciate you guys too.
He sold all his comics for a crotch rocket a few years back. I do recall. For a lot of them.
I bought a nice Mysterio from him.
Yeah.
But
nice.
Anyway, vintage 61. I mean, Adventure 61.
Right, so one of my favorites on the list that I probably should just pull the trigger on. Next one.
Me too. Let's not bet against one another. Sorry.
All American 25, Dr. Midnight.
Oh, super cool.
So yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to be the one rambling here, but Dr. Midnight can only see at night because of infrared glasses that help him see even though he's blind. Past that, I can offer up the tidbit that he saved an owl and named it Hootie.
Nice. I just like that someone's being thrown off of a building.
By Green Lantern, like, dude, really?
I mean, I'm just saying, he knocked the other guy off the building with his mighty blow, and this time he's like, off you go.
I wonder if there's
a theme developing.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's a theme. We're going to make a collection, a run of them.
Yeah, we should try to get Steve Borak to make that a set. Just be like comics where Green Lantern knocks someone or throws someone or propels someone off the side of a building.
Just anybody heading off a building with Green Lantern on the cover. Can we get a pedigree for it?
Chris, jot this down for a 3 Comic Monty theme. Maybe more broad of throwing people off the building, but
yes,
Green Lantern gets double points.
Propulsion.
Yes. Oh God, I was just picking books for the next episode. It's gonna be clowns, and I didn't choose any jokers.
Dude, you gonna show him the book?
I got lots of books.
Well, what about the one that you showed me?
Probably.
Oh my.
Oh no, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right. I've earned my reputation on one of these books. I mean, it tarnished me for years. So, all right, moving on because we're getting so distracted. And congrats, Nico! It's an hour and 10 minutes, and you've only fallen off once. So you and Hourman, he would beat you and your internet, but barely.
A 50-foot cord from my computer to the Comcast is who's providing me negligently providing me inadequate services, Comcast, and I've been kicked off once. So there's that.
You and Hourman would be a good villain. Defeat you.
The 38-minute man.
You can almost get twice on a good day.
You get, there's a reason why I'm single at the age of 40. I've never been a 38-minute man for any woman. So man can dream, though. Man can dream.
Keep moving.
Priorities.
All-Star 5.
This isn't technically. It's not technically a first appearance of a superhero, but it's first Shira Saunders. It's first Hawkgirl in costume.
Nice.
It's distinguished as a. I mean, it's a key, man. She first appears in Flash 1 with Hawkman, but
yeah, but she isn't. Yeah, it's one of those. It's so far back that, well, relatively so far back. It's only been a year.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd love to own this. I have a 6. I don't know. It's funny. I finally hit that point where I have to start moving Golden Age. So when like All American came up, I'm thinking to myself, shit, I sold about, I don't know, 7 or 8 early All Americans this year. Wow. But it's to get into other. I finally, you got to do it to get into the other stuff you want.
You got to sell Golden Age to get other Golden Age sometimes. I mean, you can only flip so many of the other stuff.
Well, especially when it's just the dregs. I'm like, nothing against common All-American issues in the 20s, but like, the hell am I going to do with them, man? I want...
Different people collect different ways. I fall into your guys' camp for sure. I'm a key book collector, or at least like an iconic book collector, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But being able to kind of like put together those runs incremental, like to incrementally amass those runs when you can find them undervalued. By that I mean the other guy doesn't value them as much as everybody else in the world does. Like that's what does it for me. I just was able to do that with those House of Mysteries and House of Secrets books, right? Like I transitioned them into one key. And if I could do that with, a bunch of smaller, like all-star books to crank out one big all-star key or like iconic all-star book, be the happiest guy in the world. Yeah. I think you got the method, my friend.
Nick L with more knowledge dropping, so.
I appreciate Nick and his, I got a 4-5 and I'm aiming for a 6. These are the conversations him and I have. And my response is usually something along the lines of, I bought these 7 books. None of them are good.
So he's who you have the intelligent Golden Age collection discussions with, and I'm the guy that's like off the deep end, and you're like,
you're the reason I'm buying the 7 shitty books.
You're like, Z just bought something crazier than I did. I guess I feel okay.
Yeah, well, until he has you buying international Golden Age books, I want to hear no complaints because that's what he's done to me. All right. I'm like, hey, what's that word mean in a different language?
Awesome.
Is this the right one? It's like, if you don't fucking buy it, I'm going to. So you better. And I'm like, yes, sir.
I love that. If you don't buy it, I'm going to. That's the ultimate motivator.
It really is.
You were the one that made me pull the trigger on the one I bought for way too much. And you're like, I'd do it. That should not be logic for me. I know what you bought the 7-book dumpster fire that Nick's judging us both on.
I did finish my EC run the other night, though. I got that War Against Crime. Nick saw it. It looks like a fucking.
Congratulations.
That's a congrats.
Thank you.
I
It
need to
looks like
start
a 4-0
messaging
to
Nick
1.
L before I buy something, because he's the logic for both of us, I guess.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Nico's
So-
no freaking help.
You're welcome. Nico's
well,
fun though.
Yeah. I got comic problems too.
Dumpster Fire or Us is where we're at. So this is a fun book that I think is not as well thought of as the superhero camp as it is War, but I mean, he is kind of one of those cross popular characters. It's kind of in the midst. Military One.
What happened to the Spielberg movie?
You know,
Remember that shit?
Ooh.
I remember the discussion. Doesn't mean it. This could still be long gestating.
So military and Plastic Man are both what, quality?
Yes.
It's whatever
And-
was before DC bought
And
them.
affordable is what they are too, right?
Yes,
Like,
they are not true DC at the time.
No, so military, while still being a big book, will not cost you anything in the neighborhood of, for the sake of argument, well, I go to the books nearest to it, and I'm like, Dr. Midnight and fucking Star Spangled Kid. Like, maybe it's in the right company, but it won't break the bank on you.
You don't see a lot of them, though.
I've never seen that book in person, and I think I've seen a lot of books.
I think, though, it fits so much in the war genre, we just don't think about it much. But the Darkhawks are, kind of that hybrid between the two. They're borderline heroes. It's just an interesting book. I wouldn't not include it in this list, other than that they weren't DC at the time, but they're DC now.
Yep.
Wow, look at this. Did you see that? There's a 3.0 with slight resto 700. Ends in 2 minutes.
Yeah, well.
Shit, me talking about that 10-year-old Spielberg news, you'd think it was my auction. There goes Ben. He's checking it out.
But Ben would have defeated Hourman.
Yes, I would have.
All right, this is one that a few years ago I had on my I could swing it list, but is no longer there. The Police Comics one.
Oh,
It has made some strides as of the last 5 years, and I don't think it's in my ballpark for the most part now.
And for those who don't know, John,
Plastic
the
Man.
importance. Yeah.
Plastic Man 1.
yeah. He's there,
Well,
he's there on the
Plastic
cover, just not that cool.
Who are the other folks on there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Phantom
Phantom
Lady.
She's pretty popular for a bit, but not anymore. But Plastic Man first appearance, I've got myself a Plastic Man 1 just because I really like the cover and it's close as I think I was going to get. But there was a few years I thought, man, I could snag this one and get a win, but it didn't pop up. I mean, it just wasn't ever there when I thought it was affordable, and then once it wasn't affordable, it sort of shows up.
I still like the Plastic Man 1 more than Police 1.
I would agree. I'm happy with what I bought at the price point, and I'm glad I have it.
Yeah, and actually, I've been looking at the what is it? Plastic Man 31, the one where he's melting. You know what I'm talking about? And he's like melting out of the barrel, and there's like somebody there stirring him up.
No, but I'm sure we could find it.
You'll know when you see it. You'll be like, oh. But I've actually been looking at those covers lately.
Plastic Man is a character because
I don't think it's 31.
some of those books did break into like the horror cover realm, and he's a fun character, And I think they've done some fun things with him in the in the cartoon universe. There was a rumored movie popping up, which I think kind of pushed this book over the edge a few years ago. And I don't know. Still a very cool book. Not a true DC as well. Same with the military, but he's at this point a true DC character because he kind of got folded in at that point.
33. I lied. Plastic Man 33. Check it out.
So though, looking back here, we ignored the Big Red Cheese, who's now a DC character, but I think Fawcett's its own brand enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know the book now I'm talking
The
about.
horror cover.
The horror cover. He's like melting.
The cauldron. Yeah, that's intense.
I always thought that was a good one. That was always the like I wanted the 3 books we've talked about: the Police one, the Plastic Man one, or the 33. Those are always like if I saw the right book at the right grade and the right price, I'd like to believe I'd pull the trigger. But
here's another one that I'm not particularly interested in.
Get ready, readers. People are going to care.
I mean, it's a great cover, but for the reason of a first appearance, I would not buy it.
who the hell is that?
It's Star Spangled Kid and Stripey.
That's why I don't know.
Stripe.
Now,
Yeah.
I would buy it for Superman uppercutting a tank.
A Nazi tank to boot.
But as far as the first appearance, I wouldn't think of that as awesome.
September 1941. That's all. I can't. I'm trying to like feed more into it and like make it sound like attractive.
Yeah,
but-
I'm just saying it's a great Superman cover. There's a first appearance in it.
And there's a lot of ththose Superman covers where it's like him on versus a train or him versus a tank that I'm like, I like that, but it's just not the right book for me. You know, and I know there's Superman collectors out there or just cover collectors out there that really are interested in that stuff, but it's not my thing.
I know,
Much like the Star Spangled Kid.
Yeah. The action comics on my list is 33. That's the one I want. It's the one is a reasonable price point, and I like the cover. That's probably the one I'm getting at some point again. Again, I sold a cheap copy and I regret it.
Yeah, and for those who are unfamiliar, that's a black cover, right?
What, 33?
Which one's 33? Is that him busting out of chains with the?
No, that's it's the poor man's action one. He's throwing a armored car.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. All right, so kind of tying into that last book is Star Spangled Kid or Star Spangled Comics 1.
I have this book.
Nice.
I remember seeing it a few weeks ago.
It's one of the few books I own from the Golden Age that's a first appearance and like belongs on a list.
It's a great
Superman
robot
show.
cover, man.
That's why I got it. Killer, and it's a #1. I collect #1s in horror, and you know.
So,
Who the hell's Tarantula?
It's weird, small.
Fair enough.
Yeah, another one of those.
As long as I wasn't missing something like important, and you guys were going to be like, "Oh, you don't know who Tarantula is? Tarantula."
Yeah.
I was hoping Ben was going to talk about him because otherwise I had nothing.
There's nothing to add is a problem, or it's not the problem. It's just the reality.
The robot.
Yeah, and like that's what this cover. I mean, it's a first
out from
appearance.
the Robot Show, a 3 comic, I believe.
I did. It's a strong one. I'm really lucky. I have an LCS that's been open since like the late 70s.
Wow.
He's an old school dude. One of the first times I went in there, he showed me a stack of like non-key Spidey issues that were all like $800 to $1,200. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is nonsense. And he's like, they're all 9.4, 9.6s. I'm like, I know. It took me like 2 years to be like, oh fuck, he's a baller. Just hanging out in Mylars. So he had this on his wall. He used to rotate every day. You'd go in, he'd have 12 new keys on his wall.
Oh my god.
So $500.
Hey.
Couldn't be happier.
Hey, it's the first appearance DC. Take it.
That's the robot cover that made me buy it.
It's not my favorite style robot, but it's a solid.
It's no Terrific 3 or is that what it is? The Lou Fine cover?
Listen,
anyway.
If you think my robot to me is Space Family Robinson, so yeah.
My robot's startling 49.
Yeah, which I don't own, and had a chance to make a play and couldn't grab my balls enough to pick up an 8.0. And it was gorgeous. It was at the booth I was at. I was sharing a booth with a dear friend, and he got that and some super gorgeous timelies. I'm like, okay, I'll be back. And I'm like wandering around trying to like figure out my finances and make a few calls and like, can I swing this? And I come back and I'm like, let's talk price. And he's like, I sold it.
How are you at a table with this guy? Was he like, this is my friend George who can't beat Hourman. We're going to let him have a piece of this table?
Yeah, basically, he's a really nice man, and he tolerates me, and I'm not sure why. And and he's a stud, and there's that.
Who should judge? Ben hooked me up with GW, and I dropped some of his books, so I suck too.
Well,
I love GW.
it's good to be in the company of greatness.
I was hauling them on a cart into the IndieCon convention center, and 2 short boxes fall off, and he's like, it's okay. And I'm like, oh shit. Those 2 short boxes are worth more than my whole booth. Fuck. All right.
GW is easy like that.
Except he's still selling. It doesn't matter. All right. This is we're not the last book on the list, but this is probably the granddaddy at the end here. This is kind of the showstopper we got. I picked a nice copy. All-Star 8.
Well, I mean, it's the showstopper at the end because you skipped More Fun 73.
Oh shit! Did I? No. Oh, I did. Shit.
I agree. It's a huge book, but More Fun
skip
73 is that third piece of the fucking Triforce.
You're right. I skipped it. I didn't upload it. Hold on.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because I sort of I think that's 100% right. Is that sort of well understood that those are the 3, like, don't see them, who's got them, how many are there, why are there so few, what's going on?
There's a couple, like, I think there's a detective.
All right, I'll bring it back. I got it. I had an image and I fucked up. I was checking my list.
There we go.
You know what's funny though? This one, I tried to make a play on one.
No way. Tell us more.
And he got laughed out of the room.
Well,
no, I remember.
Ozzy's LCS had one. Like, he bought some books and this was in it. He way underpaid, I'm sure. And I thought, I'll make a play. I offered him some trade and some cash at probably not nearly enough in hopes that he was just going to try and turn and burn it. He did not. Last I heard, it was going to end up in one of the big heritage auctions. It's going to end up in 5.
So for those who are not part of the esoteric snobbery like we are, why is this book so significant?
So it's the first appearance of Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Speedy.
Boom!
It's a monster book. For some reason, it slept. This was a book I could have bought in 2012 if I could find it. I mean, if I knew enough to ask somebody. For a fraction. This and All-Star fucking 8. Yeah, I've never seen this book in person. I've seen it twice in an online auction.
Yeah, and when John says he had an opportunity to try to make a play on it, he means recently, right? That's been in the last calendar year, right?
Probably. I don't think it's hit the auction block, honestly. I don't know. Maybe it did. Wow. It was. I don't recall seeing it, but I don't watch Heritage.
But you were trying to get it raw.
Heritage doesn't let me look at them because they're like, you cannot afford anything here, sir. Yes, it was a raw book. And I thought I could trade him enough stuff that he could actually move in his shop that he wouldn't want to deal with the auction house. And I was incorrect.
Right, because he probably realized he had $100,000 book.
Potentially, I don't know. I think it was valued more in the 50 to 60, but yes.
Yeah, that's so far out of my fucking grasp.
I offered a lot in trade, and it was not enough.
You know, and again, talking about like how TV and film drove the price of a Golden Age book through the roof, right? Green Arrow, TV, Aquaman at the box office, and we just saw a meteoric rise in this book from what it did. You know, and a lot of people will be like, you know, the whole market went up, and I'm like, not like this book.
Yeah, not.
You know?
Not 12-fold.
Yeah, it was like, wow. You know, like the market's gone like this. Like this one was like that.
I will generally say I never regret my my collecting habits, but making a deal in this book, I was affected. I did not have enough Marvel Bronze, Silver type stuff that I had sold to buy other fucking obscure shit that I love to make a legitimate play. Like if I had kept all the silver, marvel, and bronze, I think I could have made a better play. That's so liquid for him. I just had so much stuff that he's like, I can't move that any easier.
For what it's worth, and everybody who ever watches this in the future history of comics, if that shit ever happens, I'll be your Huckleberry, man. I got fucking, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I promise you I'd own that book if I got to trade for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was ever actually going to happen. He was,
I'm
he
sure
might have been placating me some.
Right. So when somebody hipped him to the 40 to 80 grand, I'm pretty sure it was,
yeah,
we're done here.
Yeah. That's fine. He went to
And yes, so Nico, this is one of the hardest books. It's acknowledged.
Absolutely.
It was not, I don't think it was well known until people made, Arrow came out, and that's what drew the attention. And then Aquaman, like you said, pushed it into fever pitch the way All-Star 8 went.
No, the best thing is this guy, the shop owner that bought it, didn't know he bought it. He had bought some Supes books. It was some Superman fucking books in action or whatever, and this was in the pile, and then he saw it and went, oh, fuck.
Wow.
Can you imagine if this had a fucking Spectre cover?
Oh.
Or either of the two characters that make an actual appearance?
Yeah, well, if you see him in the early 40s, you might not want that on the cover.
Yeah.
You might not want that.
I might have ignored this one because Momoa still makes my wife like Aquaman more than she should.
Yeah, my wife's always far too willing to watch DC Universe movies. I'm like...
Aquaman guy's got something going on.
I'm going to go to the gym while you watch that movie. I'll see you in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's why I grew my hair out.
Like, sweetheart, why do you have acne on your back? Your neck is looking really big. What have you been doing with your friends at the gym? Nothing.
Yeah, so I skipped this one on purpose. That's okay. Now we'll get back to the girl of the hour. I don't know what to say. This book went freaking nuclear.
Yeah.
It was overdue.
Yes.
It was far overdue. It was a mix of overdue with the media hype, with the market shift. Perfect storm. This book is where it belongs now. I think some people are trying to say it's soft in the market right now. But when you have a book, it's like when people started complaining that Hulk and Spidey were going, or AF-15 were going down. They went too high too fast. This book, people got caught up so that when, you know, the two oil sheiks backed out of the bidding, it came back down to a realistic, you know. But that said, it's still a top 10.
It was so underrated for so long.
I had an opportunity. I keep saying this. That's going to be my middle name. No one's going to believe me. That said, this was in the collection too.
There's only about 4 books I've heard you talk about that you want to kill yourself on. And
I know where this book is.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. This one's a monster.
I mean, think about
so
that.
Out of all of our price ranges, we're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like 10 grand a point now. Like 10 grand a point's. Maybe I can get a half. Maybe I can get a 0.5 if it's missing the centerfold. Like,
yeah, maybe but it presents well.
That's all I want, man.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Dude, I just picked up that book today that's restored because it presented well. I was just like,
you picked up a book today that's restored because you picked that book up in like every grade. Oh man, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm never flustered, and that flustered me.
I talked him out of it.
Yeah, and then I woke up I basically ignored him, and then fell asleep, and then woke up and missed the sale, and then called Ben, and he was like, "What are you doing? Just go buy the book." And I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do." And then I bought the book.
And you're going to be super happy because it's a top 10 book for anyone that gets into comics, right? Like, that knows, that has taste. I know, yeah.
If I weren't broke, I would have said to George, don't bid on it. I won. But I have lack of impulse control.
Oh, shit.
So, Nick Gal, real quick, brother, I wasn't ignoring you. We did not talk about New York World Fair.
Oh, one of those just sold, I think.
Did it?
Yeah, I think one of those just sold because I almost talked about it in a couple different places, and then somehow I missed it. I was going to either talk about it on Flipside or the Weekend Update.
That book confuses me.
Why?
I don't understand the attraction behind it. Like, I get it, but I don't. I think it's my, I don't know, the personal view on books, like that I don't know, like the way I dislike Robin, like 1038, like I don't fucking.
The creation of Robin is so random.
It's all tied back. So that collection.
To be fair to Ben, it doesn't appear from an objective outsider's perspective that Batman has cared much for Robin either. He's like, I'm going to put you in a red and yellow outfit, young man, and you're going to go out first.
Just and I either that way. I'm going to leave you or you die.
Yeah, I'm going. You go that way. I'm going this way. And then, he's like, I've got black on. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm going here. Gets all the gunfire.
The fucking range.
Right. I mean,
I know this was titled Action to Wonder Woman. I threw 2 more books in. This one is technically first Mr. Terrific.
I was going to say that. Absolutely. I put that on my note, too.
But
January of 42.
It was on the notes. I almost stopped at Wonder Woman, but I threw 2 slides in. You had about 4 more, and I picked 2 because I couldn't.
January 42.
Couldn't do the Newsstand Legion. This is a book I had a shot at, and due to miscommunication, I missed out on it. So,
wow,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Did you sleep through the auction? Because I do a lot of that.
No, the local shop had it, but he had a manager who was a prick who the owner wanted to sell it. The manager wanted to dick around with people. And then by the time it happened, I
have a similar situation with a local shop. So
yeah, but
I want the Wonder Woman 1 more than I want Sensation.
I like Sensation a tad more, but I don't know. I think the cover is interesting to me more.
It's definitely got the more right in your face classic Wonder Woman 1942, even though it came out in 41. The face, that art.
I think if I were going to choose, I would choose this one, but I can't argue with you either way.
The horse, I mean, think about it. The 2 store variants we did that I got to pick the homages for, Detective 31, Wonder Woman 1.
Nick L says first Wildcat too. I might have missed that.
Oh yeah, I definitely didn't know that. I just have it as Mr. Terrific as well. Go ahead, Z. Sorry.
Beautiful book. I mean, listen, you're gonna need the trifecta of Wonder Woman. You aren't gonna be sad,
right?
It was a beautiful book,
particularly if you got it 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was dumb 10 years ago. I was dumb yesterday, so
I'm still dumb now.
Yeah.
As the young kids say, same.
Let me be careful. The last time I said something was dumb, a Spawn collector lost his shit.
Well, that's okay.
I have that effect on people too. So.
Oh, whatever, man. Stop fucking sending people the coronavirus book and being like, it's heating up. And then when I say it's dumb, don't be surprised.
All right, one last one. I chose this one. It's way further down of a couple that I skipped, but this to me is the end all of kind of them. More Fun 101 for Superboy.
Yeah.
Though I personally have an affinity to Superboy 1. I really like that cover.
Yeah.
I do believe I owned a copy for a heartbeat. I'm trying to think. I think I owned one.
Getting old.
God, I think it maybe was missing some pieces. And I go back and forth on whether I like incompletes or I don't. So sometimes I have them, and I have them for like 2 years, and I'm like, I'm gonna sell this one and get a complete one, and then I never do.
I love incomplete.
I know I do,
Gold.
but once you have them, you're like, I'm gonna sell this, and I'm gonna buy a complete one, and then you spend it on something else, and then you're got neither.
I also like books that are sawed in half. My copy of More Fun 101 is sawed, clean in two.
Whose collection it's from?
Shit. It's fuck. This is where I need big leg.
God, I can't remember. It's an artist. It's a.
It is. It's a random one too that came with like a COA that's on like his notebook. He's like, "That's from me." You're like,
Well,
not like Wade, is it? It's something.
Wow.
It's something.
oh yeah. It's like Mark Wade's personal collection.
It's
or
No
something.
way.
I don't know if it's Mark Wade, but it's somebody like that.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Do you have both halves?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It just.
It's-
And
You
how
can't
is
tell.
how is it sawed in half? Like
You can't tell. It's like this, and then, like you look at it, you're like, huh, it's a normal. It looks fucking 10 times better than that 1/8. And then you look really close, and you're like, oh shit, it's got like a crease or a cut in the cover. You're like, no, man, it's perfectly surgically cut, but it's not straight. It's like a little wave like this, straight through the center across. Because I went to take it out of the bag, and I was like, oh. Thankfully, attached at the top staple, attached at the bottom staple.
Wow.
I traded
All right.
a Ghost Rider
Nice.
and some cash and something else to Big Leg. He was going to eBay it. I'm like, fuck.
Nick, I know you wanted to go further. There were some other books we didn't include. You want to talk Flash 80s?
We're going to do, so we're going to do 42 to, 56 at some point. That's easier and quicker.
I wanted to throw
Superboy.
Superboy, and this was a personal preference, Nick.
Well, the other thing to point out, too, the jump point, the reason it jumps to Superboy, so you have Newsboy Legion and The Guardian, which are, again, no name.
I didn't have enough energy to hunt.
No, there's no reason to. Nico and I can afford those. We
That's not a good sign. Not a good sign. If you're in my price range, I gotta get ready.
So when you get out of night, so Sensation is pretty much the last really good book until 1945. The next big DC key is 3 fucking years later when you get Superboy in the end of the More Fun run, because this is about to turn into Funny Animal, and I mean that's the other show is why this happened. The 45 into early 50s, and then the whole sci-fi takes over, and that's why this is technically called the Atom Age. It's another show. I'm going to go on a tangent.
And I know that I'm getting old, and there's something wrong with me because every day these funny animal books look more interesting to me.
And this is the guy that buys clown covers and westerns.
I'm like, well, I've never seen that one, and it's kind of interesting.
Unless Rosetta drew it, I don't want a funny animal, and even that's questionable.
I don't know, dude. There's some of those timely funny animal books. I'm just like,
You know what
Right,
I have?
So it's a rabbit and a pig. All right.
And I have 2 copies of it. Is Giggle Comics 59.
You tell me more.
It's this crazy bright red cover, and there's a little funny animal like with a like sheet, and it's got like the ghost cut out, and it's like this little fucking rabbit animal fucking thing. I don't know what it is, and he's like surprising him, and the dog is all scared to bejesus, and then you look in the back window. This is a funny animal book now. You look in the back window, and it's a fucking skeleton like coming in the window to murder the little fucking animal thing.
That sounds awesome. So here, earlier about
Ben Samuels talked about that one time, didn't he? God,
nice. I was talking to John earlier about how like you kind of mature as a collector, right? The longer you sort of stay in it. Some people like Nick do that a lot quicker than somebody who's a moron like me, or it takes decades and decades. But and I was like, John, I feel like you're either 4 or 40 years ahead of me with these international comics, but I now fear deep in my heart that I'm going to end somewhere being like, I like that Porky Pig cover.
Don't worry, I
It's
would
really it's got nice color and stuff. And that'll be the end. It'll all be over.
I traded my brother for a first Tom and Jerry, just shits and giggles. Why not?
You traded your brother had not More Fun. What the fuck's it called?
Oh God, I don't know. But that's an undervalued book for the record. That first appearance of Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, it's something
And
along
I don't
that.
say that about
Our Gang.
There we go, Our Gang. You got it. Yep. And I don't say that about many books, but like, come on, it's Tom and Jerry.
I just don't think that the generation now cares.
They don't, not at all.
It is a fun book.
No?
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, what stuff that's really like near and dear to our heart. The Nintendo Wii generation is just gonna like look at me and be like, it's a cute Donald Duck cover there, big boy. That I just like covet and love. You know?
House of the Mouse will keep things alive.
Yeah, Disney's safe. It's that Porky Pig and Looney Tunes shit that
Hanna-Barbera is a disaster.
Except for the obscure shit, the Space Ghost.
Well, yeah, but I remember I mistakenly showed my kids an episode of the Flintstones.
Oh, okay.
How'd it go? It was Fred gambling or battling in a gambling addiction, and he'd run around going bet, 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 and I'm like, oh, this is not children's programming,
right? Like while beating his wife because it was 1952.
It's a rough show to go back to. It's not.
And after that, he tried to drown his child. Like, what's happening? What is going on?
Some of these shows are not good, not quality children's programming. So I don't know. We're off the rails, but I think we were good off the rails tonight.
Oh, this was fun.
A couple people stuck to the end. Poor Nick did, and I'm sorry he had to be here for it all, but that's all right. Nico only died once in an hour and 40 minutes, so that's pretty good.
And I can legitimately just blame that on Comcast. It's no longer, whatever sort of tin can and string Wi-Fi disaster. So
at this
I'm
point,
moving in the right direction.
If you were Hourman's villain, you'd beat him 1 out of 2 times.
All right.
Yeah,
feel better now.
Solid victory.
Yeah, well, unlike traditional villains, I'd kill him. There wouldn't be a plan.
I do want to say we missed an opportunity, and I'm sorry. It is the 10th anniversary of the Master Frank Frazetta's death. We should have been on our point, and we weren't. But we'll get to him soon. But I think we need more time to prepare for that episode and just to show the awesomeness that is. Yeah. And as we move through the years, too, he's a little later. So
Frazetta feels like a whole special on its own that's far bigger than a vintage Voyage because we can't do Frazetta and not go into the paintings.
Yes.
Oh.
So
we'll get there. We could do theoretically, if we could get everybody to cooperate, we could do a week of Frazetta on the channel, right?
Well,
I mean, there's so much.
I promise you, Morello's in. Morello's already in. Like, he somewhere heard that, and he's like, Frazetta week.
Maybe we'll do his birth. So, I don't know. It was a good time tonight. We enjoyed talking some DC. We never know what we're going to do next week until we get there, so we'll come up with something good. If you got a suggestion for us, throw it in the chat. And otherwise,
we'll do villains at some point, Nick.
Nice.
Check out Clown Covers on Free Comic Monty coming up Friday. Check out the Flipside tomorrow with myself and Nico. Ben's going to hide in his bunker for a day or two before he pops up again.
Before we close out, too, Mike and Peter are going to continue the streak of the hot theme list next Thursday.
Nice.
Do you know what it is yet?
Last Thursday on Star Wars.
Do you know what we're doing yet?
I haven't written it. I haven't decided.
So, all right. So
I might write it that morning and not tell him.
Nico, do you want to talk about your interview?
I had a great time with Mike Morello. Guy is just a beast. I mean, it was interesting to hear about all of the things that he's doing. We've got Jimmy Palmani next Saturday, and we're really excited about that. For the uninitiated and the uninformed, this is a guy who's written 100 issues of Harley Quinn, is responsible for creating landmark characters like Painkiller Jane and Luke Fox, who, if the G5 or whatever the hell DC's calling it, sort of rundown of Batman is still in the works. Maybe Batman here soon. The guy will literally have created Batman and is now going to show up on our fledgling YouTube channel. And he inked for Joe Quesada, who, together they did things like Ash that were super important to me as a child. Is married to one of the most, I think, prolific writers in DC right now. So there's just a lot to talk about. I don't want to kind of foreshadow it all, but the best news is look at his IG page. The guy collects books too.
Didn't he do the Pro? Huge. Wasn't he involved in the Pro?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it'd be an interesting interview. Check it out. And we got new shows coming every day, it feels like. So thank you all for joining. We will be back next week with something interesting, I hope.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.